I got home late from a job site, dropped my tool bag by the door, and found my wife sitting on the couch with the TV on mute and her eyes glued to her phone. No hello, no kiss, nothing. Her thumb kept scrolling like I was a delivery guy who took too long to bring a package. Evening. I tried, hanging my jacket. She didn't look up. Hey, that it? Long day, she said, still scrolling. Mine too. Good for you. She smirked at her screen. Not at me. If I'd known where this was headed, I would have set timers on my patience. But I learned faster than she expected. I stood there long enough to hear the fridge kick on. You hungry? I grabbed something, she answered. I'm meeting a friend later anyway. Which friend? Why? She finally glanced up, then back to the screen. Don't start. I'm asking because I live here. Don't be dramatic. She got up, brushed past me, and opened the hall closet for her coat. Don't wait up. I leaned on the doorframe. What time? She shrugged. We'll see. She left. The door clicked with that flat little tap. That means, you can talk to the empty room if you want. I let the quiet sit. Then I grabbed a notebook from the kitchen drawer and started a log. Not for drama. For facts. Dates, times, behaviors. I don't chase shadows. I check the power bill and find the short. Next morning, she moved around me like I was furniture. I made coffee, handed her a mug. She took it with 2 fingers. Thanks, she said, neutral as a receipt. We good. Don't turn every mood into a crisis. You've been cold for 2 months. I've been busy, she shot back. Maybe stop taking everything personal. Hard to do when my wife treats me like the neighbor's dog. She gave a little laugh that wasn't humor. You're touchy lately. I raised an eyebrow. Lately, huh? She set the mug down untasted and left for work early. No goodbye? I drove to the shop. I run a small renovation outfit. 2 crews, a warehouse space, a beat-up F-150 that still starts in the cold. My foreman, Leo, handed me invoices and a look. You look like you slept in the truck, he said. Got the couch. She got the couch attitude. He scratched his beard. You want me to tell you the story we both know? Or do you want to do something about it? I'm already doing something. I tapped my pocket notebook. What's that? The Book of Pain. Book of Facts, I said. And today I'm moving into the guest room. Leo nodded. At least you'll sleep. Sleep is the perk, I told him. The rule is the point. That night, I dragged my duffel into the guest room and set the ground. No fight. No speech. Just changed the layout. When she came home near midnight, she stood in the doorway of the dark room, silhouette against the dim hall. What are you doing in there? She asked. Sleeping. In the guest room? Right. Why? Because we're not playing strangers in the same bed. If we're strangers, we live like strangers. That's ridiculous. It's clear. She folded her arms. You're overreacting. I clicked on the lamp. You've been cold. Short. Absent. When I ask, you gaslight me with busy and touchy. So we reset to clarity. Separate beds. Separate calendars. Separate rides to events. You want back? Great. Then act like my wife. She sucked on a tooth for a second. You're punishing me. I'm giving both of us the real version of what we're already doing. She huffed. You're impossible when you get like this. I'm consistent. She stared another beat, then turned away like I'd bored her. Whatever, she said, walking off. I'm not doing this. Noted, I said to the empty hall, then shut the door. 2 days later, we went to a friend's backyard barbecue. Separate cars per the new rules. I arrived with a 6-pack and a calm face. Our friend Dana poured iced tea into a cooler and shot me a side eye. You two all right? She asked low. We're in the truth phase, I said. Yikes, she said. That sounds worse than it probably is. We'll see. When my wife walked in, she didn't even nod my way. She drifted straight to a group of guys from her gym, leaned in, smiled like sunshine, laughed too loud at something dull. Every minute or so her eyes skimmed over me, and then kept going. Dana's husband, Mark, handed me a plate. She's working the yard, he muttered. Let her, I said. I'm not chasing anyone around my own friend group. Near the grill, I caught her joke about some men can't handle independent women. One of the gym guys looked at me to gauge if I'd heard. I did. I took my ribs and my space and didn't bail. That's what I mean by foreign territory. Her show, my rules. She finally drifted over. You look miserable, she said, like it was a kindness. Ribs are good. Maybe try smiling. Maybe try saying hello to your husband. She rolled her eyes. Don't make a scene. I'm eating. You're sulking. Pick a word you like and file it, I said. I'm still not doing Chase the Queen. God, you're exhausting. Go entertain the gym, then. She snorted and left. I ate another rib and talked shop with Mark about subfloors. 10 minutes later, she reappeared, softer. Sorry, she said, almost whispering. I've been off. Work's a mess. I kept my face neutral. Okay. I'll make dinner tomorrow, she added. Your favorite. We can reset. Tomorrow works, I said, logged it under illusion number 1 in my head, and watched if the action followed. It did. She roasted chicken, poured me a beer, asked about my day, kissed me on the cheek like we were a team again. Then when I reached for her hand later, she let it hang there and said she was tired. That's the pattern, olive branch, then a pullback the second you step forward. I stopped stepping. That same week, I split our joint expenses. I opened a separate card for my personal spending and sent her a simple email with the new budget breakdown. Mortgage covered, utilities split, extras by agreement only. No speeches, just adult parameters. She stormed into the guest room with her phone in hand. What's this new budget email? Exactly that. You don't get to unilaterally change. That's the thing. I cut in. I do. Because what we had required respect. Right now we have a roommate who thinks she's a visiting celebrity. So we do roommate finances. Unbelievable. Predictable, I said. She stared, nostrils flaring, then tried the softer lane again. We can talk about this. We are talking. At dinner Friday? I've got plans Friday. With who? Leo. Inventory at the warehouse. That was half true. We did inventory. I also used the late hours to call someone I never thought I'd call. A private investigator named Hank who did skip traces for us when landlords disappear mid-job. Hank, you track schedules? I asked over the phone while I sat on a rolling stool between stacks of tile. I track patterns, he said. You want mileage with that? I want locations, timestamps, and if it's a public place, a photo. Lawful. Clean. Who's the subject? My wife. He didn't gasp, and he didn't judge. You got a reason? I've got a spreadsheet. He chuckled without humor. Send me the times, she tends to vanish. I'll put eyes on it for a couple weeks. It'll be less, I said. Her discipline isn't that strong. It took 3 nights. He texted me at 10:20 on a Wednesday. Think you'll want to see this. Then the photo came through. A downtown restaurant, warm light, 2 people at a corner table. My wife, leaning in, holding hands with a man I recognized because we'd shared holidays and a dozen beers over the years, Ryan. Married to her sister, Emily. Under the table, his hand on her thigh. On the table, hers on his wrist. Not lean-in family, not comfort. Closeness that tells its own story. My jaw didn't drop. My pulse didn't spike. I just stared at what matched the pattern and said out loud to the empty warehouse. Okay. Hank followed with a second photo, arms around each other in the parking lot, head on his shoulder, and then a third, both of them laughing with the kind of careless face people wear when they think they're invisible. I put the phone face down on the workbench and sat a minute. Not to mourn, to plan. Then there was a knock at the garage door. I walked over, expecting Leo coming back for his wallet. It wasn't. It was Emily, makeup smeared, sweater half-zipped, breathing like she'd run from her car. Your wife is seeing my husband, she said. No intro. No preface. I opened the door wider. I know. She blinked. You already know? Hank sent me photos an hour ago. She held up her own phone with shaky hands. I followed Ryan tonight. I thought it was his coworker. It wasn't. She swallowed. You're not surprised. I'm past surprise. I nodded to a rolling chair. Come in. She stepped into the warehouse, looked around like the metal shelves could anchor her. You're weirdly calm, she said. You don't want to see proof? I just saw proof, I said, sliding her a water bottle. How do you want to play it? Her mouth parted. You're ready to act tonight? I'm not sleeping in a lie another week. But I'm not lighting a match in the wrong room either. She wiped her cheeks with the heel of her hand. I have a plan. It sounds dramatic, but it's clean. We file first. We don't blow it up with rumors. We line up witnesses and truth. Then we pick a day when they'll both be standing there trying to look good, and we let the facts do the talking. Public facts, I said. Exactly. I nodded. We've got our 6th anniversary in 5 days. House will be full. Parents, friends. Ryan will be here with you. Perfect stage. She exhaled a laugh that had no humor in it. He will. He said he was supporting family. Then we give him a role. We sat in that warehouse for 2 hours and built a simple script. We'd both see an attorney in the morning, file separate petitions, clean and quiet. We'd get copies in nice folders. At the party, I'd start with a story, let people settle, then hand her the envelope while Emily handed Ryan his. Then Emily would present photos. No theatrics, just honesty. No names called. No details beyond what the pictures already told. You okay with that? Emily asked, eyes red but voice steady. It's the only way I'm okay, I said. Everyone gets to see what they built fall down on its own weight. She looked at me longer. You're not angry? I'm surgical. You're a little scary like this. I'm tired, I corrected. But I'll take scary if it gets the work done. Next morning, we met with my attorney, a calm woman named Lorraine who's seen every version of human disappointment. We kept it factual, separate paths, mutual assets to be split per the prenup, no children, no drama. Lorraine asked if there was a trigger we cared to note. I said, irreconcilable differences. Emily did the same for her file with her own counsel in the same office. Discreet. Efficient. Lorraine raised an eyebrow when she saw the folders we wanted printed on heavy paper. Presentation day? She asked. You could say, I answered. As long as you're not turning it into a yell fest, she said. Facts are strong on their own. We're aligned, Emily said. We left with clean copies, each in a crisp, gift wrap-ready folder. We got coffee next door like two coworkers after a meeting. For the next few days we saw each other daily, but not to plot. We walked by the river, talked about everything but them. She's an ER nurse, quick with details, precise under pressure. I'm a builder who likes straight lines. We found out we both hate small talk and love quiet breakfasts. She made a joke about how I always wear the same boots. I told her I owned 2 pairs to keep people guessing. She actually laughed. And it wasn't the brittle laugh I'd heard from my wife for months. Meanwhile at home, my wife executed illusion number 2. She flipped a switch the morning of our anniversary. She woke me up with pancakes. She ironed a shirt for me without being asked. She lit a candle at lunch and put her hand on my shoulder like the last 3 months evaporated overnight. You're being sweet, I said, keeping my distance steady. It's our day, she said. I want it to be perfect. It'll be memorable, I agreed. She squeezed my arm. You'll see. We needed a reset. She kept the nice tone going into the afternoon. She set the table, dusted off serving dishes we only use for guests, put on a playlist with our old favorites. I watched her move and saw the strain at the edges, the perfect face cracking when she thought no one saw. People like my wife don't switch for love, they switch for optics. The theme of her little plan was clear. Keep me compliant, keep her life. By 5, the house was full. Friends, neighbors, parents. My father-in-law shook my hand like nothing had ever gone sideways. My mother-in-law kissed my cheek and said I looked thin. Dana brought a salad. Leo showed up because I asked him to. Quiet anchor in a corner, no commentary. Then Emily walked in with Ryan, both dressed nice, both doing the polite thing. Emily and I barely made eye contact. We had to play our parts. Everyone ate. Everyone talked around a long table that I built myself, and the mood was what people call warm. My wife did her perfect hostess bit, touching shoulders, topping off glasses, laughing in the right places. She finally slid into the seat beside me when the plates were replaced by cake. My father-in-law stood. 6 years, he declared. We're proud of you both. There were murmurs. Dana shouted speech and pointed her fork at me. I stood. I didn't rush. I rested a hand on the back of my chair, felt the wood I'd sanded with my own hands, and started from the beginning, not to filibuster, but to give people context. I met her at a 4th of July picnic, I said, nodding at my wife. She was ignoring me so hard it qualified as a sport. I like that. I like a challenge. There were laughs. My wife smiled tight. I chased her for a bit, I went on. Then I learned she hated being chased. I learned she liked being respected. So we built something the only way I know how. Slow, straight, plumb, and square. I walked around the table as I talked. People turned their chairs slightly to follow me. The energy changed like the room felt the set screws tighten. We got married under a cheap arch that I reinforced with lag bolts, I said. Because if it's going to hold, it should hold in the wind. That's how I see everything, love included. I stopped behind my wife. Her shoulders went stiff under her pretty dress. What I didn't understand, I said, was how quiet rot works. It doesn't squeal. It makes jokes. It gets busy. It finds new hobbies at weird hours. It says, don't be dramatic, when you ask where the leaks are. I laid a folder wrapped in plain paper in front of my wife. These are our updated blueprints, I told her. She blinked, already knowing, hands trembling a little as she pulled the paper off. She saw the first page. Her smile cracked. She looked up at me like I'd just turned gravity off. I kept moving. I reached Emily, handed her the twin folder. She stood as she took it, face controlled, eyes glassy but hard. She turned, placed it in front of Ryan. What is this? My wife whispered. She didn't say it to me. More like she asked the air to fix it. Ryan opened his copy. He flushed. Are you serious? Emily didn't flinch. Read the title. He scanned the top line, then at me, then at the room. This is inappropriate. It's honest, Emily replied, voice clear. Emily, my wife hissed. What are you doing? What you two have been doing, but upright, Emily said. The room went that strange quiet that isn't stillness, just everyone holding breath at once. Emily reached into her tote, pulled out a small envelope, and placed 5 printed photos on the table like she was laying down cards. No commentary. The pictures did the job. Corner table at the restaurant, parking lot embrace, hands where they had no business. My mother-in-law gasped like she'd been slapped. My father-in-law sat down hard. Dana swore under her breath. Leo gave one small exhale and looked at me like, there it is. Ryan stood up, volatility rising. You've been following me? He snapped at Emily. Don't talk to her like that, I said, stepping in, my voice flat. You lose the right to indignation when you create this level of mess. He squared his shoulders like he intended a scene. I didn't move. You can leave, I said, calm and directed. You and she can both go if you want. Or you can sit, be quiet, and let the truth finish speaking. My wife shook her head, tears arriving late. It's not what it looks like. It was one dinner. Emily cocked an eyebrow. Your hand must think it was several dinners. It looks familiar. Emily, stop, my wife pleaded. Enough, I cut in. We're not doing a panel discussion. We're closing a chapter. Friends, family, I'm sorry to bring this to your table, but I prefer clean cuts to slow poisons. As you can see, the anniversary is canceled. However, if you'd like to stay, you're welcome to join me and Emily for a different celebration, our mutual fresh start. Ryan scoffed. What? You two are together now. I shrugged. She's my guest. That's the only title she needs to be treated with respect in my house. My wife stood, cried harder, grabbed my forearm. Please, please, don't do this. We can fix it. I messed up. I was confused. It meant nothing. We can work on us. I looked down at her hand on my arm until she removed it. I laid clear boundaries 2 months ago, I said. You ignored them. I changed the budget. You called it punishment. I moved to the guest room. You called it dramatic. But today you want tenderness and mercy because your optics are bad? No. She reached again. Emily stepped closer to me, steady as a nurse during a code. She leaned in and whispered, nice touch, my guest. Improvisation, I murmured back, then straightened. You've got 30 minutes to pack a bag. I told my wife quietly enough that only the table heard. Your parents can take you tonight. We'll coordinate the rest through council. I don't want scenes. I want clean. Last time I'll say it. Ryan opened his mouth to posture again. I fixed him with one look, and it was the look I use when a subcontractor lies about the joists. Take the hint, I said. He folded, grabbed his jacket, and left without another line. My wife tried to appeal to each face on her way down the hall. Her mother, her father, Dana, collecting nothing but shock. She disappeared to the bedroom. Drawers opened, closed. Her parents walked after her, whispering, not defending. They came back with her luggage. My mother-in-law faced us at the door and said, voice shaking, we did not raise her like this. You don't owe me an apology, I said. You didn't do it. But I do appreciate you taking her tonight. They nodded and left with her. The door shut. The house exhaled. People started talking at once, then realized the hosts had changed. I lifted my glass. New plan, I announced. We've got cake. We've got decent neighbors. If you want to stay, stay. If you want to go, go. No hard feelings either way. Dana stood, walked over, and hugged Emily first. I'm proud of you, she told her. Then she hugged me. I'm proud of you too, even if this was brutal. It was adult, I said. Okay, adult and brutal, she said, wiping her eyes while laughing. Same thing sometimes. The crowd thinned a little, then reformed around the kitchen island. The core stayed. My guys, Dana and Mark, two of Emily's friends who'd come with her. Music turned low. People actually talked. No gossip, just the kind of support that doesn't make you want to shower after. In a corner with paper plates and forkfuls of cake, Emily nudged me. About that my guest line, she said with a crooked smile. Good improvisation. I smirked. Hope you don't mind if it's not only improvisation. She blushed, and then she surprised me. I don't mind. We didn't hold hands. We didn't make a show. We stood near each other and let everyone recalibrate. When last guests left, Leo took the trash, Dana took the empty pans. Emily and I stood in the kitchen in the kind of quiet that sounds like safety. I'm not going back to that house, she said. You shouldn't, I answered. My couch is free. My guest room is cleaner than the couch. Your call. I'll take the guest room, she said, smiling for real for the first time all day. I trust your rules more than I trust my husband's stories. Ex-husband, I corrected. Soon enough. Soon enough, she echoed. I gave her a spare key. She brushed my shoulder in a small, grateful touch that said more than any speech. We didn't cross lines. We didn't need to. We just made a point to the entire family. We could afford to be measured. In the morning, I woke up to the smell of eggs and coffee. Not a fantasy scent, not a movie scene. Just breakfast. She wore one of my old hoodies and hummed under her breath while flipping eggs in the pan. Morning, I said. She looked up. Breakfast is on me today. Dinner's on you tonight. That a demand? A deal. I'm good with deals. We ate at the little table by the window. We didn't talk about our exes. We talked about whether I should buy a new truck or nurse the old one another year. She said the old one had character, then rolled her eyes at herself. I told her character is expensive. That day I kept doing what I do. I worked, I cleaned, I lived by rules that make sense. She went to her shift and texted me once. You okay? Not clingy, just human. I replied, I'm good. She sent a thumbs up. Adults. It felt like a forgotten language. Over the next week our routines braided. She finished a shift, I left a light on. I finished a late bid. She put a plate in the fridge with a sticky note that said simply, eat. We talked out loud about maybe going slow but not pretending. We didn't rush. We didn't audition for anyone. When I took her to dinner like I promised, she picked a small place where the owner knows your name and not your business. We sat in a corner and talked about vacations we never took. We talked about houses we'd design if we started from scratch. I sketched what I'd build on a napkin. She made fun of my handwriting. I told her nurses don't get to judge penmanship. As for my ex, her text started a day after the reveal. Long paragraphs at first, then short ones. The tone swung from apologies to blame to nostalgia to bargaining. I didn't engage the swings. I sent one final message that said, simply, coordinate logistics through counsel. Do not come to the house without notice. Wishing you clarity. Then I blocked everything except email, which Lorraine monitored. Boundaries aren't boundaries if you leave little gates all over. 2 months passed. The paperwork moved. The house deed got a clean line through it for division. The joint account became 2 accounts and some receipts. We sold the extra car. She took furniture she said she loved that I know she never dusted. I kept the table I built and the tools I trust. We never had another public scene. We never needed one. The work was done. I upgraded the truck anyway. Not to prove anything. Because hauling lumber in a dying engine is stupid, and I'm done with stupid. I took on 2 bigger contracts, the kind that get your name passed to cousins and coworkers. Business got easier when my head wasn't busy rewriting someone else's script. I also moved some walls in the house. Literally. I opened up the kitchen because the island had become the place people told the truth, and I wanted more of that. Emily came over with a paint tray on her day off and helped cut in edges. She's terrible at it. I told her so. She laughed, handed me the brush, and went to make sandwiches. We didn't put labels on us the day of the reveal, but the label found us. One night, Washing dishes, she bumped my shoulder and said, "So, when you said my guest, yeah, I'd like to retire that word. You got a replacement? Girlfriend is better." I dried my hands. I can work with better. We kept it quiet and simple for a while. No announcements. People figured it out when they saw us at the farmer's market, or when Emily's friend stopped saying, "How are you holding up?" and started saying, "When are you two taking a trip?" My ex didn't call, didn't show. I heard from Dana that she moved into a small apartment across town and switched gyms. Ryan, apparently, had to rent a place with a roommate from his office. The family stopped hosting for a while. Holidays went back to basics with folding chairs and silence where small talk used to be. As for that night, the reveal, some people still whisper epic when they bring it up. I don't think of it that way. I think of it as the first time in months that the ground was level. No more weird hours. No more "you're touchy." No more cold shoulder in public while I smiled through ribs. Just the facts, and then the door. Here's the part everybody waits for, the final line. What I said to end it. People expect something like a movie. I didn't give them that. I looked at a woman I loved once, a woman who taught me a few hard lessons about what I refused to live through again, and I said, "You built a house on soft soil and blamed the rain. I'm not your weather." Then I walked her out and went back to my guests, who were now mine in the ways that matter. They'd seen my line in daylight. They'd seen me enforce it without shouting. They'd seen me choose respect over optics. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't mercy. It was math. 2 + 2 equals, for even when someone tries to sell you a different answer with a smile. You look at the problem, you write the number, and you move on. Now I wake up to a life that fits me. A truck that starts. A business that grows. A kitchen that holds a crowd without anyone needing to perform. A woman who hands me a coffee mug and asks how the bid went because she actually wants to know. Sometimes Emily and I sit on the back steps after dinner and talk about the house we might build one day. Real posts, real beams, no secrets in the walls. We don't rush. We don't pretend. We don't owe anyone an explanation beyond that. When people ask if I miss the old life, I tell them the truth. I miss the promise I thought I made to someone who was playing a different game. But I don't miss the game. I don't miss the rules changing midweek. I don't miss thinking I'm crazy when I'm just observant. You can keep the fireworks and the speeches and the grand gestures. I'll take a full night's sleep and bacon on Sundays. I'll take a woman who knocks before she comes into my office because she knows I'm on a call, and a partner who minds the budget because she respects the work that fills it. And I'll take that old lesson we all pretend to learn and then forget until it bites us. You can't fix rot by painting over it. You cut it out, square the edges, and rebuild with